In this tutorial I'm going to demonstrate how to do a faded off background blanket with a textured blanket. So this is a cable knit blanket that I was using here. I'm also going to change the crop, so we'll be doing a little bit of cloning too. So the crop is the first thing I'm going to do. I'm going to select my image with the crop tool and turn it so that the baby's face is a little more straight onto us and a little bit bigger. And that's how I want my crop to be. So we're going to get the clone tool and start cloning just straight on that layer there. And when you're cloning something that's in perspective like this, you have to be a little bit more careful. So I'm doing these individually. Oops. Okay. And try and be as neat as you can. It makes all the difference in the end. Oops. Okay. Okay, so not perfect, but it'll do for the purposes of the tutorial. And you can be neater as well if you like. So up here it doesn't matter so much because that's going to be mostly faded, so I'm just going to paint that before we do our gradient. Now I'm going to do the same as I did the last time, and I'm going to do use the gradient tool, and I'm making sure that it's on the radial gradient brush up here, and I'm going to make a new layer. So for my foreground color, I'm going to choose a nice light color that's up by the baby's head, and for the background color, I'm going to choose a color from up in the corner. And just like the last time with my lighter color on top, I'm going to go from the baby's head up to the corner. And then I'm going to make it a little bit from the center of the baby's head. Okay, and then I'm going to make a mask. And on that mask, I'm going to paint in black at 100% opacity just over the baby's face and body. And that's going to be at 100%. So I just want to make absolutely sure that there's no mask on that baby at all. Or there's no gradient on that baby at all. Okay, so now that that's done, you can just go over and tidy that up around the edge. And I'm going to lower the opacity of my brush now down to about 25, and I'm going to start sweeping out in strokes like this along the front of the baby and just out to the side, bringing it back in a little of what's there, and lower it down even more so there's a very slight fade at the front here as well. So now that that's done, there's a nice smooth background. If you feel it's too smooth, you can just lower the opacity of that whole thing, bring back in just a little bit of what's there already. So I have that at about 80%. Okay, now I'm going to flatten that down. And on the baby here, I can see just a few little grey little patches here, which I'm going to tackle with the Quick Mask tool. So at 100%, I'm going to mask any area that I can see that's even slightly purpley blue. So a little bit along the lip, along here, maybe a little on the hands, which sometimes happens. If they're lying on their hands, they often have not great circulation at this age, and sometimes their limbs there are a little bit discolored. So now that I have all the bluey grey areas selected, I press the Quick Mask tool again, and that selects them, And then I'm going to make an adjustment layer, and I'm going to make a curves adjustment layer, and I'm going to bring a little bit of red into those, just a small bit of red, and then take a tiny little bit of the blue out. So once I'm happy with that, I'm going to flatten that down, and I'm going to run the red skin removal action, and then with a white brush, I'm making sure I've clicked on the mask. With a white brush with opacity of 100%, I'm just going to go along the areas that I feel are a little bit red. Okay, so once those areas have been sort of evened up so that her skin tone is the same everywhere, I'm going to flatten that down, and I'm going to run my warm haze action, and I'm going to run it at a very low opacity. I'm going to take off the haze completely on that one. So it's just warmed it up a little bit. Now if you don't want the background blanket to be affected at all, you can just get a black brush at 100% and just roll over that. And with the brighten, I'm going to hold down the Alt just to see how, oh, I have to flatten that down first. I'm going to make a levels adjustment layer, and then I'm going to hold down Alt, and I'm going to see, as I roll the slider along, I can see where it starts to get burnt out in parts. So it's that black hairband burns out, that clips very quickly, so I wouldn't do more than that to it. And you can brighten the whole image if you like as well. So here's what we started with here, and then here's the after.